Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I am incredibly excited to have Clive from Hello Hosty here with us today, and I love these interviews because they give me an opportunity to meet people who have incredible skills in something that I'm rubbish at. So Clive, when I met him, probably a month or so ago, wasn't it? We were at the Progressive Pitch for Money with Rob Moore, weren't we? And
We were, yeah, fun
we
day.
were both chosen to pitch, which was really great. So it's great to have you on here because you are a real expert in your field of serviced accommodation management, and AI, and how that has changed you running your business. So really thrilled to have you on here, Clive. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for the powerful introduction.
No worries at all.
Well,
Look, Clive, for anyone who perhaps hasn't met you yet, could you just give us a brief overview of who you are, and then we'll jump straight in.
Yep, sure. Well, I'm Clive. I run a couple of businesses, namely Love London Apartments, which is a London-based property management company in operation for roughly 15 years, and also Hello Hosty, which is an AI-powered channel manager for serviced accommodation. So we're an AI tool, heavily involved in technology and in property, to sum it up.
Amazing. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to jump in with a couple of questions, just because of a few things that you've said. So you've told me that you are massively adventurous, and that you travel. You basically, your office is in your hat. Wherever you lay your hat is your office, so to speak.
Yeah.
So tell me one of your most adventurous things that's happened to you in life.
Well, I mean, I have plenty of adventurous stories. I'm definitely a very adventurous person. My partner and I, we aim typically in winter to, we usually go to Sri Lanka for a few months, where we surf, yoga, have a co-work, where I'm based out of an office there for a few months of the year. It's the most wonderful experience every winter to skip town and be in the tropical sunshine, catching some massive waves. And doing things we love, working remotely. And I think I was one of the original digital nomads before it was even a real thing. So I mean, that was one of the big objectives of starting out in business in my career, was to be able to have control of my time. It's funny, when you start a business, a lot of people think that you get to set your own hours. And there's kind of a bit of truth in that. The thing is, you set your own hours, which are pretty much 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. Yeah, there are breaks.
Did that come about from reading, say, 4-Hour Work Week or something, or did
it's
you?
It's funny you mentioned that, because the 4-Hour Work Week was a very pivotal part of my life. There was a friend of mine and we both started the same sort of business at the same time, and we both read that book, and it massively influenced us in terms of how we structured our businesses, and how we structured our lives around working smarter and not harder. That's a big mantra of mine, is to work out the smartest way to do things. If there's a task that you're doing, or that I do in business, I try to either not have to do it again, or if I do it again, it's a lot easier. Build systems and structures are a big part of that.
Wow. So that really sounds like it's been a huge kind of pivotal moment. And I think sometimes, because we talk about shelf development, don't we? And quite often we have a lot of books, and I have a lot that I've read, and I've definitely picked up parts in it and thought, yeah, that's really, really useful. And then a year later, I think, I haven't implemented that at all. But then you've taken the theory of, the 4-Hour Work Week, and that has, well, from what I know, and obviously we're going to find out more as we talk, but sounds like it's been an absolute pivotal moment in your life and completely changed so many things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still read a lot of books, a lot of business books, and it's the most interesting topic for me, I think. But that book in particular was really pivotal, working smarter and not harder.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So just another one that I always love to hear, because I think, well, some people have, but I think you can always write every single person can always write a book on it. Tell me what you believe to be one of your funniest guest stories.
I have a few. I mean, just interesting, some interesting stuff. I've done some one time. I don't know if this is really for most people. One time, years and years ago, 10 years ago more, I was walking into an apartment. It was like 2 hours after the checkout time. I don't know if I should even be telling this story. It was 2 hours after the check-in time, and I opened the front door. I didn't even knock. I didn't think, because you'd expect the guest to have been long gone. But I opened the door at completely the wrong moment. There was a couple in there, Italian, and I just saw these legs in the bedroom, and I walked in and I was horrified, and I just walked in shocked, slammed the door, went and sat in the park for a few hours. I didn't hear anything from them. They didn't say anything. There was no comments. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to them. They got a late checkout for free.
Yeah. That is hilarious. So yeah, well, I think we've all had some interesting scenarios, haven't we? So yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's nothing but interest in this business. I've got so many different stories of, crazy adventures, the people you meet. That's one of the things I love most about business in general. Like I was saying about the adventure that I like to seek in life. This business is so adventurous. The people you meet, they're at one of their finest times. They're at their highest moments, because they're on, a lot of them on vacation, and they're like their energy's high, the vibe is amazing. So it's an amazing business to be in.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
And I was really amazed, certainly during the lockdown period, because ours were just booked out all the way through, is how many different roles were required to run a country. Like, I just had no idea. So again, you just meet so many people doing these crazy different things that you didn't even necessarily know about. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. So yeah, so you talk, obviously you're really passionate about this industry. You've talked about adventure. You love spending time with people who go on vacations. You provide their accommodation. So how did you get into this industry? Has it always been something that you've done?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been in real estate since I was about 22, 23. I was an estate agent for a while, and I had a really great job when I was like early 20s, and in Islington, North London. And I was working with a lot of developers, would be, flipping properties, building places, and then I'd be selling them for them. And so I made a friend who was a developer, and recession came along. I'm showing my age a bit now. Recession came along. I got made redundant, credit crunch, and then I went off traveling, and I came back, and I started a master's, and I still had a property. And a friend of mine said, a developer, I bumped into him on Upper Street, and he said to me, "Oh, I've been doing this short-term rental thing. You should really give it a go." And I thought, yeah, wow, that sounds great. And I was waiting for planning permission on a property that I was doing a development. And while I was waiting, I thought, okay, right, I'll give this thing a go. And it worked. It worked really well. It worked so well that I thought, okay, I need to focus on this a bit more, and then put some more energy into this. And after a time, I was managing other people's properties, and it kind of grew and grew from there. Yeah, it's been quite an adventure.
Fantastic. So it is interesting, isn't it? So, some people go through the route of, seeing it as a real opportunity, but you hear equally a lot of people that have kind of fallen into it and being like, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to from that. And that's definitely where you've gone into. So did you kind of, grow locally? Were you kind of a bit more sporadic? How did your sort of growth start?
Well, it started. It was very much rent to rent, and then we got to a certain level, and it became clear that, I mean, the phone starts ringing, people speak to each other, and then all of a sudden, people are saying, "Oh, can you manage my property? Can you manage my friends, my sisters, my cousins, whatever?" And word of mouth seems to be the biggest, by far the biggest method of marketing our property services, because I've tried all different kinds of marketing, and it's kind of like, yeah, this and that from it, but providing people with a good service in terms of managing their properties is by far the best method. I mean, we get neighbours phoning us up, and then the neighbours has a friend, and then the gardener who sorts out someone's garden. You know, people just, they talk, and as soon as people are happy with their business relationship with you, things really blossom. And so that's really how it spread. I mean, even down to managing properties overseas. You know, people have got ski chalets, their family, and different places. It's word of mouth has by far been the strongest. Building good relationships. I mean, talking about good relationships, COVID for us was a challenge, a big challenge. It was, you know, it depends where your properties are, I guess. Some people really flourished out in the country, and other properties that are in urban environments, built up environments, were struggling. And the relationships with the property owners at that point were kind of, they were stressed. Our arrangement with a lot of people was kind of like rent to rent deals, and we said, look, everybody knows this situation. It's not like we're making this up. You can't hide from the fact that COVID's here. And we switched. A lot of our relationships changed at that point, where we became, instead of becoming the tenant, we became the managing agent. The deal was, we can find people for you, and with no fee for now. We just want to maintain our relationships. And so all of our properties, 95% of them, remained in our management. We kept the deals, we kept the relationships alive. So then after COVID, when the boom came after COVID, we were still in an amazing position with the management structure of this, and it changed the shape of our business. So COVID was a massive event in our business, but at the same time, afterwards, we've grown so much. Our strength, we've become so much stronger, so much better organized, and because of the change in structure, the management structure, it's now word of mouth has really taken off. I mean, at the moment, we've got 3 properties which are being done up, and it's just continuously. It seems to be growing very organically now.
Amazing.
Without too much effort from my side, like I was saying about working smarter and not harder. I don't really need to sweat too much to bring new places on, which is great.
So you do yourself a slight disservice there. I always feel that, you know, there's no such thing as luck. So you've put in a huge amount of groundwork. You've talked about relationships. You've talked about systems, you know, all of those things. So that is due to the fact that you've worked really, really hard to not work hard. So
I say that exact thing quite often. I work hard so that I don't have to work hard.
Yeah, exactly. But also, I'm really interested. I'm hugely into mindset around property. And you know, you basically talked about, you know, from adversity comes growth, because, you know, obviously for you, the lockdown was, you know, some real adversity. So how did you, I mean, for me, I know when it first came in, I'm a really kind of person who can take a lot of stress, and actually I thrive from it. I love a bit of stress, you know, but that first period where we really started to realize what we were in for was an extremely stressful period. And I had a business partner at the time, and they basically went into their shell, and I thought, I can't do that. I can't. I've got people who work for me. I've got all of this, you know, like yourself, I'm paying out money every month. I've got a rent to rent business. And so I kind of went the opposite way and went gung ho, but it was incredibly stressful at the time. And I just took the action. It's like Tony Robbins, take action, you know, just go and do as much as you can. And it came through. But from a mindset perspective, how did you deal with that? Because that is you had you know, already had a really big business, and then suddenly overnight, how did you deal with that?
It's interesting talking about mindset, and there's something that I try to do. I don't know if I'm really good at it, but I've learned several times. I mean, I've been in business for 15 years thereabouts. So I've been through many ups and many downs, and like many wins, many losses. And it's really like, this is me personally, and it's really difficult to disconnect your sense of self from your business. Like when your business is doing great, you feel like you're amazing and everything else. And when your business starts to take a hit, you start to feel really low. And I really try to separate myself from my business. I try to consider that I'm not my business. I'm not my business endeavor. We're two separate things. And if one does great, it doesn't mean if the business does great, very good. But if it doesn't do great, then I try not to make it affect me. During COVID, like I was on the phone to one of my mentors, and I remember being on a Zoom call. I was up in Newcastle, where my girlfriend's from, and I was on a Zoom call with him, and it struck me that I was like, this is real, isn't it? This is not going away. And it struck me that actually our business is like it wasn't gone, but it was going to take a big hit. And I thought to myself, right, okay, so I need to take action. At the time, I was living in Spain and Barcelona, and we ended up. I ended up having to do so much work to get things, finding long-term tenants that would pay whatever you could get them to pay. At the time, there was this whole Hong Kongese were moving over to the UK, so we had a few of those guys. And then once I was running around like a madman getting stuff sorted, and then I thought to myself, I really wanted to get away from everything. And a friend of mine had told me about up in Andorra, no, up in the Pyrenees, there are these cabins that are stone cabins where you can go and find them and you can go spend the night there. And they're there for people to get lost in the mountains. They're not really particularly comfortable. But I thought, okay, once I get this sorted, I'll give myself a goal. Once I get done here, I can go for a hike on my own solo, spend a night in the mountain, which I did, which was amazing. And sort of gathered a bit of peace. But I think, like you said, it was about taking massive action during that period. It was about taking action once it had really hit home that this was a real event, this was really happening, and that this wasn't just going to blow over in 30 days. This is going to be here for a couple of years at least. The realization that was staying just meant take action, and the action was find people to stay in the properties for long periods of time at whatever price you could, keep the relationships. And once they're in place, all of a sudden there was nothing to do, because it was kind of like, well, I mean, very little to do once the places were all let out long term. It was kind of so now people are in these properties. What do I do now? And then it was a case of, I thought, well, just go back into study education, find out more about different areas of real estate. I'm a real estate person through and through, albeit I'm mainly around property management. We do short-term, medium-term, long-term rentals, but I also do other things like developments, flips, and different bits and pieces. So I just put my head in the books and started educating myself until things came bouncing back.
Amazing. Well, I mean, it is an incredible story, because it's, I know businesses that did literally fold and that was it. They just, people just handed back the keys, but to take responsibility. And I think sometimes, even when something's not your fault, so to speak, it's people that just still took that responsibility. I still have to do everything that I can to solve these problems. Really seem to go through. And actually, I just want to touch on a few points that you raised that I thought were really important. Is the this feeling that your business is a reflection of yourself. So I remember I had on paper a really successful business, and in the end I had to sort of go in a different direction, and I felt so lost for a number of months, because it had defined me. It was, the business was me, and that is a real challenge to.
Easier said than done, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I felt like really blindsided, almost sort of knocked over with this scenario, but actually I obviously needed it, because it came out making me realize that this is ridiculous. It's not me. That's the business, and this is me. And that's something that I learned all about having a kind of a self-image, because you're never going to go further than your current self-image. And you'll see people having to, develop. Somebody earning 50 grand is not the same person who earns, 2 million a year. You have to develop and move along. So that was interesting. And I did also want to add, because you talked about your was it Andorra, these lovely little places that you could go that were just little. Well, you also, they're bothies, aren't they, in Scotland? So if you want the same thing, there's these in Scotland where you can go and
you imagine they're colder up there.
Yeah, exactly. But I think you have to, like, if there's a can of beans there, you have to leave something else or something.
That's exactly it. Yeah, there was a bit of food there, and you have to leave. Yeah, and I had a little fire. It was awesome experience. I've done it a few times since with friends, but that time I went on my own. That was great.
I love it. And then also for you, you clearly are about, this sort of collaboration rather than, running away and doing those things. So yes, I think that's a pretty special thing. So let's move on. I know we've got lots of people very excited and sort of chomping at the bits around AI. And I'm quite surprised actually how, I know for the first couple of years, it took techie people jumped straight on it, but the general public were obviously much slower. But I'm really surprised. I was just away for a weekend with a whole range of ages, and pretty much everyone was using it. Everyone was taking advantage of AI. So I think that snowball effect is really taken on board. I don't think my parents use it yet, in fairness. But,
not knowingly.
No, well, you're absolutely right, not knowingly. But I did see that, I think, is it Gemini have started doing some adverts as well. And
they've gone heavy on the marketing now. Yeah.
So I think, over Christmas, if they're going to continue on with that, with people sat around watching Christmas movies, it'll be interesting what those adverts are, aren't they? So, so you mentioned that you found out about AI when you were doing your podcast, and so your podcast is called the Hello Hosty podcast, is it?
Correct. Yeah.
Perfect. Just to plug you there. So do go and listen to that, everyone. So just tell us how you were kind of introduced to AI and how it's kind of progressed through your business.
So like I was explaining just before we were on the call, I had a podcast interview with a guy called Brandon in California, runs a short-term rental property management business. And the most interesting thing that's come out of the podcast for me is the conversation with people from all around the world. This guy was based in California. We had a conversation in November 2022. And we'd already set the wheels in motion for building a tech product. And at the time, AI, generative AI, wasn't a thing. It was OpenAI hadn't. Well, they just launched when we were in this conversation. I asked for a piece of tech or any tool that he would recommend, and he said, "Oh, you have to check out ChatGPT." And then I checked it out, and obviously it just blew my mind. And since then, I realized that, I mean, well, I'm a very technological person. I love tech, I always have done. And so I dive deep into this bit of kit. And I obviously, we have staff that deal with communications, but our business is comms heavy. Like the comms that we get, communications we get are pretty urgent for one thing. And there's so many of them. On average, we've worked out that it's 5 messages per guest, 5 guests per property per month. So you're talking 25 messages a month, which doesn't seem like a lot if you've only got one property, but then times that by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, you're talking about thousands of messages a month, which are pretty urgent. And the guests don't care that you're sitting down and having a family meal, or that you've just got home and you've just got into bed, or you've just opened your eyes first thing in the morning. They want communication. And even with team in place, you're still challenged by the team's availability, because people are people and they have responsibilities and they might need to pop out or whatever, and I built a very rudimentary way that we could use AI to communicate with the guests. So I had, without going too tech into it, I'd basically put all the information together for a load of the properties, and when a guest would send a message in, I would use like a copy and paste method to put it through ChatGPT to generate a response and send a message back. And it was working really well. Like, it was amazing. It was perfect. I built an assistant, but it was very rudimentary, the assistant. And then working with our tech team, we developed that further and made it automatic to communicate via Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, WhatsApp, SMS. Understands everything about your property, learns everything about your property. So if you're managing a portfolio and you've got 30, 40, 50 properties, for an individual or for your team to even remember, how do we deal with the waste in this unit, or how do we deal with the checkout in this one, or how do we turn on the TV in this one? This kind of stuff. All of that stuff is remembered by our software, by HelloHosty, and the AI assistant accesses that information in real time, processes the question that the guest may have asked, or multiple questions in the same message, in a peculiar misspelling way that guests may communicate, and it comprises a perfect response and sends it straight back. I mean, I don't know if I can share my screen on this, but this morning, I mean, every morning I kind of wake up and I just go through our HelloHosty account and our messaging area. And what I do is all the messages on the left-hand side, which are still green because they've not been checked, the last message has to say something like, "You're welcome," or "Thank you." And then I know it's good. I know the guest is okay. And of course, if there's a situation the AI can't handle, it escalates and sends a notification to us as property managers: "Hey, your attention is required. This guest needs such and such a response or some assistance." So the AI picks up. I mean, it's great even when, for example, we've got a guest who left an Apple Watch in the property last Friday, and this guest is from the Middle East somewhere, and they're traveling around the country, up in Scotland, and he's now back, and he said, "I'm going to come back. Can I please come and can I come pick up the watch?" And I mean, we don't have team in the properties 24/7, but fortunately we've got a changeover today. But the AI was able to communicate with this guest and say, "Yeah, sure, I'm going to check on that. I'll come back to you in a moment." Notified us, and then we're like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, no, cool. Somebody's there today, so you can go collect it." But it's small things. I mean, stuff like that. A guest communicating about their watch, it requires a human to dedicate some cognitive capacity to deal with that message and to to think about it. Whereas now that we've got AI involved, AI can communicate with this guest and give them the response they need for a time being. I mean, it's stuff like middle of the night, 1 a.m. arrival, the guest is outside and they're saying, "Hey, the code doesn't work," and the AI knows, okay, so you've got to put it in this certain way and deal with this situation. Or a very common one is we have sofa beds. "Oh, you haven't left us any bedding for the sofa." And it's like, yeah, no, you have the information all in the arrival guide, but you don't want to look at that. You'd rather sleep on the sofa without any bedding. But the AI obviously communicates, says the sofa, the bedding for the sofa is inside the sofa, which is a really common one. We find that with a lot of our users as well with SA. They use sofa beds, and guests don't assume, and not every guest would assume, that the bedding is inside the sofa, and they just think you've been incompetent and not provided the bedding. Yeah, which is fantastic to have that taken care of.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. So it really seems so. Are you kind of basically saying that, from a guest perspective, even though you've given them the introductory email, you've told them what to expect when they arrive, they've probably also been given links to a guest book, which has frequently asked questions and most of those things, that inherently, like all of us, and I'm the same, I've usually arrived at the door, my phone's run out of battery, all of these kind of things can occur, that you've got ChatGPT somehow, and we'll go into that a little bit more, to be able to sort of spider legs through all of your information that you've fed into it. And we're talking about individual properties, individual sofa beds, individual guests that are now being given the responses.
Absolutely. I mean, the way that it works technologically is we have a data source where the AI can access information about the properties. To show you how granular it goes, we have a property that every now and again the boiler loses pressure every 6 months or so, and it's really easy to top it up if you know how to do it. Like, you need to remove this panel, and it's just a tap. You just open it for 20 seconds and then close it. And the AI knows this about the property. And the guest said, "Oh, hey, there's no hot water in the property." And the AI said, "Have you checked the pressure on the boiler, on the front of the boiler? It's next to the sink." Talks the guest slowly through the process of topping up the pressure in the boiler, which is it's just magic. Yeah, I mean, it goes really granular. Whatever you give the AI to, whatever information you give the AI, it will know. we're at a stage in technology where it's not that it's not replacing humans. And I heard this said a lot. There's like the expression that AI won't take your job, but somebody who knows how to use it will. I think that's so true, because with AI, with using the AI tools that are available today, like we've not reached like AGI, advanced general information. So we've not managed to intelligence. We've not managed to get there yet. But where it is today, somebody that knows how to utilize these tools can move so much faster, so much easier. It just means that you can tackle more tasks more efficiently, faster, and at greater scale.
I love it. I love it. So just sort of stepping back a bit, because, you know, you've talked about something that to the average is quite advanced. It's, you know, it's really working very hard for you. But just, you know, within your business and perhaps how you've progressed through, how can people kind of use these tools within their sort of service accommodation business or even property business?
Right. So we've got, I mean, on the Hello Hosty website, hellohosty.com, we've got an essential guide to AI, which is free to download. So anyone watching, please do head over to hellohosty.com and you can download that for free. And included in that guide, there are about 20 different tools, including Hello Hosty, Alina, the AI assistant from Hello Hosty, which we recommend. And there are tools which will, I mean, one of the tasks that I don't particularly like is writing the captions for images. I find it to be really tedious. You know, you've got a good listing will have about 25 to 30 images. And then I think the captions are super important because it's your first opportunity to communicate with guests. The process when they're searching for a property is typically, I mean, they search on price and location, and then they'll find your listing in a pile of listings, so like in a load of listings. Then they'll click on an image because they like it, it pops. It's got that purple cow. I don't know if you know that book, Seth Godin. It's got something that stands out, and so they'll click on it, and then they'll quickly go through a few images. So the first 5 images have to really grab them, and they won't read the description unless they've filtered you through to you're one of the final chosen properties. So they're not going to read your massive description just yet, but they might read your caption, and the captions are so important, which is why, you know, it's important to put them in there. But at the same time, writing them out is so tedious. So we've got an AI tool we recommend. It's free to use, and you can upload your images, and the AI, and we provide a prompt as well for this. So the prompt is in there to generate a really good pop-in caption for your images. So image creation, caption creation, free to use. We've got a tool for that. Also for, I mean, like I said, we manage some chalets, and we have winter guests and we have summer guests. And so in the winter, they want snow and they want ski and they want snow. So image editing is a great one. Previously, we used to have, or we'd still do use, some image editing professionals that we've got from Fiverr or whatever. And but we've also got tools we recommend which are great for image editing to add snow, remove snow in the summer. So we want mountain bikes, we want hiking gear, we want green trees. You know, that's why people go there in the summer. So we can switch images over for whichever season we're selling. And so we've got tools in there for that. We've got obviously a lot of IoT, so Internet of Things, like hardware, which you can put in your properties, which still utilize AI. There are locks coming out at the moment, which are facial recognition, which you can, so guests don't have to have a key. They don't need a password, a PIN. It will just recognize them when they come up there. If the face is covered, it will automatically lock the door. Like if they're trying to hide their face, it won't allow them to come in. Some really cool tools that we're recommending the Essential Guide to AI, which you can download from our website.
Yeah, I've just put the link actually into the Essential Guide to AI, and I've put it, hellohosty.com. Fantastic. Wow. I mean, it really is kind of going down a rabbit hole, and there's so much out there that is galloping so fast with information. I mean, I was just been at a podcast weekend, and some of the really just some of the new websites that can like put the spider web or the spider's legs out and find out the most incredible information. I mean, you know, we've been so used to Google for so long being the go-to place, but actually Google's just so clunky now because it just gives
It
you a whole
is.
lot of things that you're then supposed to go into and check, and it doesn't have it. Whereas,
Yeah.
you know, you've got these sites that go, you know, go into everything. They even go into news articles. They even, you know, they just go deeper and deeper and deeper into a whole host of things, and then they take all of that information, it comes back and gives you a succinct bit of information with links
Yeah.
to all these places, and it could be, you know, page 13 of this book, and, you know, second paragraph. It really is.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's interesting to see what's going on with Google now. Like you were saying about at the top, they give you like a synopsis using AI, and Gemini is definitely playing catch up because Google weren't ready to release their version of AI, and that's why it's kind of interesting because when OpenAI came out with ChatGPT, they were like they really stole the limelight because they were the first ones to release this large language model that was able to process massive conversations really fast, and they've advanced so quickly. But then Google knew they needed to release something, so they released Gemini too early. And when I tried it out first time, I was kind of like, it's nowhere near as good as ChatGPT. But now, obviously, Google's such a powerhouse; they've been able to invest huge amounts of money, and now they're doing a marketing campaign because they've managed to make Gemini a lot better. But in my opinion, I think ChatGPT as large language model is still the best. I mean, they've got this. It's the way things seem to be moving is a lot of voice is now taken, not just, you know, the written word. So you can, I'm sure you know, and a lot of your listeners already know, but you can have full-on conversations with ChatGPT now. I mean, one of the things I like to do is while I'm driving, I put it onto chat, and I'll have a full conversation, and I'll ask random things. Like the other day, I was having a conversation about the history of economics and all kinds of stuff. Like you can just like the resource it can just throw at you, like it's incredible. And conversational AI is just mind blowing. I love it. Yeah, maybe
Wow.
that's where it's going with ChatGPT, and well, maybe that's where Hello Hosted will take things in the future: phone calls rather than messaging.
Amazing, amazing. So you talked about the Internet of Things. This is kind of quite a new sort of thing. What exactly does that mean?
Well, Internet of Things is really to do with hardware that links up, that connects with AI throughout your property. So you can think of stuff like minute devices, you know, noise monitoring. You can think of stuff like Alexa, which can be in your property to serve your guests. You know, there are different tools recommended in the Essential Guide to AI that you can connect. You can connect like iPads, where guests can order. They can order whatever, late checkouts. Even if you have auxiliary services such as like massages or chefs, they can order this kind of stuff through your property. But IoT is basically the connection of hardware devices in your property that are linking to this to the web and to AI.
Amazing. So this is kind of a real sort of opportunity, but equally you could just go mad, couldn't you? I mean, in your own home now. I mean, I know somebody who's what incredible, you know, the smart home, but also now you can have a smart garden. You can have, you know, there's none of this kind of, he always calls it wall acne, where you've just got loads of different, whether
Yeah,
it's a switch or buttons or this, and
yeah,
you just have everything, you know, in one place, and it
yeah,
does everything. I mean, obviously that's going to be a huge overhaul of a building, and it tends to be something that you're more likely to put in a new build. But equally, you know, you want to ensure that you give a great experience. So I know you're much more into the vacations. It's very experiential. So how can we kind of weigh up this kind of costs versus needs of, you know, all of this technology and this, you know, the hardware as well?
Well, I mean, there are some things which it really, I guess it's an individual case by case situation, because some properties that we manage, they really need a minute device. You know, they are I would say high risk of red flag bookings. You know, the kind of properties that party guests would love to come and just, you know, ruin. So we have to be really, really conscious. So investing in a minute device for that property is really worthwhile. Whereas other properties that are smaller, more rural, much less likely to attract problem guests, you wouldn't necessarily think it to be the case. We don't go down the route of putting in voice activated devices in our properties just yet. I think really what we're seeing is we're seeing the birth of this new technology. You know, AI at this stage is really in its infantile stages. I think it's going to get really, really interesting over the next 5 years with where things go. Like you said, the need for many separate devices will be removed. I mean, stuff like watches will be able to control. I mean, you can already control your heating from your wrist, and yeah, I think really we're at a very, very beginning stages. So I would say hold on to your purses for the time being. Buying a lot of technology today, you know, hardware particularly, it will become faster and faster. It will become more obsolete quicker, as we see things advance. There's going to be some huge. I personally see this as like the biggest revolution in human existence. You know, you talk about our Stone Age and the Industrial Revolution. The Information Age is by far the biggest leap humanity's ever made forward, and we're going to see things exponentially boom. You know, it's such an exciting time.
Well, that's amazing for you. You are really excited about it, and it's kind of something that has transformed your business. You are seeing the benefits because you're able to take what were inherent bottlenecks in your business and you're able to sort of make those flow much better. In turn, you're offering a better service to your guests, and, you know, equally ensuring that any sort of landlords that you're working with are also having a great experience. But there's clearly also a lot of unknown, a lot of fear around kind of AI. I'm not going into the kind of the morals or whatever of it, but just on a practical element. So let's say, you know, somebody's got a few rent-to-rent properties, a few of their own properties, and perhaps they're managing some, and they're still a bit unsure about how AI can help their business. What would you say to them to help overcome this kind of mindset of fear around this?
Well, I mean, AI at this stage is, I mean, it's really cool and it's really advanced, but it's not at a stage where it's going to completely take over and control us. I think I'm a big believer that it's going to be a useful servant than an overbearing overlord. We're gonna build the future humans want, and AI is gonna serve us and gonna help us get there. And the kind of AI that, I mean, the AI that we're using at the moment, it's not running away with things. AI assistants that we built an AI system. Fundamentally, it runs on mathematics. It's not going to be able to take over your world in the future. I think that we'll see what happens in the future, but for the time being, I don't think there's anything to really be afraid of. Is the tools that are out there can massively help you in your day-to-day life, in your operations. You know, I talk about OpenAI a lot. I really like ChatGPT. I find it incredibly useful, not just because of Hello Hosty, with our AI system that can communicate with guests, but in general, you know, writing all kinds of stuff, creating all kinds of content. I would say that the fears that people, I mean, because I talk to a lot of people, a lot of smart people, and a lot of smart people have big fears about AI, but my personal approach is, it's here. You've got two options: either run from it or run into it. What do you want to do? Like, embrace the chaos.
Yeah, I love that. So, you know, with this kind of understanding, I know when we met, what was it, a month or so ago, I knew obviously Chat GPT, but I just understood that that was the name of it, quite an annoying name to keep having to repeat, because it's quite a mouthful to say.
Yeah.
But when you were talking about the things that you've done, you started talking about this kind of GPT side of things.
Yeah.
And again, I've only just started to dabble into that myself. I've got a few bits and pieces that I'm working on.
Yeah.
But do you mind sort of expanding on that, especially, you know, people who are perhaps using ChatGPT, but haven't quite realized there's this whole new element, which is the GPT sides.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we're talking about GPT, so generative pre-trained transformer, which is basically the pre-trained transformer is basically a set of rules which go together. And ChatGPT, I think maybe 2 or 3 months ago, they released this, that you can create your own GPTs, these pre-trained transformers, without like confusing terminology such as pre-trained transformers. It's basically you can set up an assistant or with a memory, and you can upload files and different things. So for example, well, Alina, our AI assistant, this one's really specific to us, but obviously Alina is an assistant which has been built on a prompt of around 3,000 different rules. So when a message comes in, which might be like 50 characters long, it goes through a filter using these 3,000 different rules to produce the response which is desired. Obviously, it needs to be an AI. It needs to be a very well-trained hospitality assistant. So myself and my team, we worked extremely hard creating these 3,000 rules. And if ever a response comes through that we don't like, or that one of our users of the platform says, hey, we prefer it does it this way, then we've got a pre-trained transformer which we can ask, this is the response that came through, why did that happen, which one of the rules has led to this situation, and how do we change it so that it doesn't. So that's like pre-trained, that's in there, and we can just ask this question and it will give us the response. I mean, more a pre-trained transformer which is more applicable for service accommodation managers is, for example, we have one which is a review responder. And again, all of this is in the Essential Guide to AI. So if someone wants to learn how to build their own GPTs, in layman's terms, we've put it into the Essential Guide to AI for vacation rental hosts, which is on our website. So the review responder, we can, quickly copy a review, just put it in there, and it will respond written in UK English, in my language, the way that I would write, because it has examples of how I write. So it would respond as though it was me to the review, the perfect, well, in my eyes, the perfect response. So then, I mean, that's just another use, which, I mean, that can shave off maybe half an hour off of your day or whatever. It can save a lot of time, but you add all these things together, you compound it, and it's huge savings. I mean, one of my favorites is the message responder. I barely write a message or an email nowadays. I mean, I have a message assistant, a GPT, which I've built, which for me, which has examples of how I write. It knows the way I write, my use of vernacular, etc. And I can just put a message in there that's been written to me, and I'll put a note like respond like this, or just say this, affirmative or negative, whatever, and it will create a really beautiful response. Not like it's AI, it doesn't look like it's AI, which is that might save me 10 minutes writing a message, rather than me thinking through how to put the words exactly to sound just exactly how I want to communicate. I mean, we have a lot of very, very useful GPTs that we've built, and I remember, I mean, it's $20 a month, right, for this amazing technology, and to have like the premium account of ChatGPT Plus. I'm like, in my opinion, I think anybody in business, you have to have it. If you don't have it, then you're going to be one of the guys that get left behind. You know that expression I said about AI won't take your job, but somebody who knows how to use it will. Yeah. My advice is get a ChatGPT Plus account. my advice is to download the Essential Guide to AI and learn how to use ChatGPT to the max. Right. Yeah.
Amazing.
In there, we've got videos and everything, step by step, very layman terms, nothing too technical, but explaining how to use all the AI that we're aware of at the moment. And that will be up. I mean, our intention is to update that annually, so that each year there's an updated version, so that people can stay on top of AI in this space. I mean, even down to, like, for example, marketing, direct bookings, building the direct booking website. You can go and you can use a product. If you're advanced and you're serious about it, use a company like Boostly. I think they're great. But if you're very grassroots and you're just taking off, there's a AI building platform called durable.co, and you can just put in there a couple of ideas of what kind of website you want, and it will build it for you using AI. Saves you hours and hours and hours. Wix have got AI tools, Wix ADI, Advanced Design Intelligence, which that's their terminology for it. But there are some AI tools out there for building direct booking websites, and then on these direct booking websites, you're trying to. This is a big point in our industry, direct bookings. So using AI tools to drive direct bookings, there are tools that I recommend in there which you can create in seconds. You can create content for your YouTube, for your website. You can create a blog for like a local area guide for your location, where you might be talking about the best kind of local foods that are available. And a lot of tourists, they search, I forgot the data on it, but it's a huge number of people before they go to a location, they'll search for blogs and they'll search for what are the best restaurants in the area, etc. Well, if you're a property manager and you create in minutes a guide on the best locations to eat in your area, and you upload that, then you're going to create content. You're going to create content which will drive traffic to your direct booking website. And this is my point: if somebody knows how to use AI, they're going to leave others behind, because they're going to have direct booking websites that are full of amazing content that drive traffic to their platform, that get them the direct bookings. Yeah, I think download the guide. It's got it all in there.
I think you're absolutely right that it is. It's like anything, there are still some newspapers around. There are still a lot of kind of what we call things that are not advanced anymore, but it's how you work with that and how you develop. So you could sort of, protect, like, so yeah, as you say, like even website developers. I know some young lads who are website developers, and they absolutely love AI. But in theory, they could be losing their jobs, but actually not. They're actually just giving a much better service to their clients, and they're doing things that inherently there's still things that I will never want to do. And it's like working out that even getting the ChatGPT to do those things, it might not be my thing. So it's really taking advantage of that.
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
you talk about the GPTs, and you talked about this 3,000 rules, so for the kind of somebody who's less experienced in that is that literally that you are typing in 1 to 3,000, or is this over time they've learned? Do they hold this kind of 3,000 rules? Have you got a document that states these 3,000 rules?
We've got the way that Alina works is it's not a custom GPT. It's more advanced than that. So the way that Alina, our AI assistant, was, when I say born, for lack of a better word, the way that she was born is, it was me personally that was using ChatGPT, and I was crafting a prompt sheet. So a prompt is what you put into the AI to get your desired output. The prompt that was built initially was a couple of it was a paragraph that I'd written, and then over time it evolved from live use with my guests about the way the responses were coming out, and it evolved into responding this way to this situation. If this occurs, responding this way. So dependent upon when a user onboards with Hello Hosty, they're given a questionnaire about their property to fill out, which is kind of, that begins we create a digital guidebook for their property, and everything in the digital guidebook is what our AI assistant will use to respond to their guests. But there's also some other like kind of tick boxes if they check that the guest needs to check out at this time, or they have certain rules that tick boxes, which then change the rules around which the way that Alina operates. So eventually, once they've onboarded, we know, our software knows what kind of property manager they are, what kind of responses that they'll want in general, and the messages that come in from a guest will then be taken with this huge prompt, with this 3,000 rules plus the specifics of their property, and then processed through ChatGPT we're constantly updating the model because OpenAI are always releasing newer and more stronger models. We're constantly updating that, and then it will, it's a massive process on the back end which is going on. I mean, that's just from what Hello Hosty have created. What OpenAI have created is a whole other kettle of fish altogether. So there's a huge amount of a huge amount of tech involved, which is being used to create a very short reply, which is, it's human, and it's our guests don't know that it's not that we're looking to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. I think they don't care. At 1 a.m. in the morning and they're trying to find bed sheets, they just want the information. And they don't want it so hard that they'll go through a digital guidebook that may have like 15 pages. They have access to the information if they were to read through, but they just want to send a WhatsApp, and they want to send a message through Airbnb, and they want to get their message back to answer their question.
And I actually think it's better because, like, when I think about it, if I've gone somewhere, I feel a bit awkward messaging at 1 a.m. I genuinely do, because it might not be a major issue, but it's just an annoyance. Whereas actually for me, if I know that I'm not necessarily waking anyone up, I'm going to be much happier just to message.
Away,
and then my experience is going to be so much better. So I'm more than happy to go through. So I was actually listening to a course the other day, and he was specifically saying, look, I know, guys, that you're going to have loads of questions. Please do, ask this chatbot first before sending us an email, because literally 99% of the time you will get your question answered. And we want to be able to spend more time creating content for you, be able to do this. And so actually, the more I think we utilize that, I actually feel more comfortable using that, because generally it does mean that I have forgotten, I've lost that email. I've forgotten to open it up. I've just been, a rubbish guest, and I don't particularly want to be annoying to my host. So yeah, I think, some people, might take it the wrong way, but yeah, I think it's really, really great. Look, I'm just really aware of time. So I know you've told us some incredible information. You've given us an amazing resource, which really is, guys, do go and download it. But tell us a little bit more about Hello Hosty. Is it a channel manager? What exactly is it, so that we can really understand what it is that you've created?
Okay, so we are both a channel manager and an AI assistant. Now, we have users that wanted to be able to, they don't want to use a channel manager. They want to just use the AI assistant. So we have, we built a bit of technology, AI, that can integrate with your Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO without the necessity of being the channel manager. It can communicate with your guests via WhatsApp, SMS, and so we can offer that. But we also offer a channel manager which is connected via API, which is a really strong, really fast connection. We're connected with 53 major booking platforms, and can communicate, of course, via Airbnb, WhatsApp, Booking.com, VRBO, etc. And really rapidly. I think for us, what was important is being able to have all of our the biggest problems that we solve in our business, which are, rates availability and minimum stay policies, distribution across the booking platforms, and have the communications all in one place, all in one central bit of kit, was really important for us. So that's what we've built. We now have a really powerful AI assistant and a really powerful channel manager. So when a booking comes in, it's in our software, and we have like a unified inbox which keeps all of our messages in one place. So if a guest or a party messages about the same reservation, it's all organized. We don't have really disjointed communications. But then on top of that, it's not just that all the messages are in one place; they're all in one place, and it's the AI assistant that can handle them. We have the option as well. We find that not some, pretty much all of the users that we have on our platform, they start off a bit nervous. They're kind of like, what is this AI going to say to my guests? I don't want to look like an idiot, and I don't want my guests thinking that I'm incompetent. So we can turn it off of automatic auto host. So it starts off, it's not an auto host. It will just suggest, this is what we suggest you say. And pretty much within 48 hours, the properties go to auto host. because the responses are good. I mean, we have another user that doesn't. She's only got a couple of properties, 3 properties, but she doesn't put it on auto host unless she's going to be offline, so going to sleep or going to be on a plane or anything like this. And then it's okay, now you can take care of it. When I'm back, I'll be able to look. But when you're out for that family meal, like I was talking about earlier, or you're busy, you're on a podcast and you've got guests messaging you, having a response ready to say, yeah, send that is great. You know, when I was at Glastonbury Festival, and I remember I was standing at the main stage, in front of the main stage, and it was busy, and I had a guest communicating with me. This was before we'd launched Alina, and I was using this copy paste method with ChatGPT, and I was standing there. It was still easier for me to copy paste the message, run it through ChatGPT, copy paste the message back to the guest, than for me to actually write it out, standing there, you know, like chatting away. So even the copy paste sort of the suggestion that the message suggests is very useful.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, I do remember one specific occasion where it was a Friday night. We'd all gone down to the beach, the whole family. You know, we got fish and chips with sound. You know, but it was quite windy as well. And honestly, the guests just kept calling me, and it was just, and it's things like that that make the whole wonderful experience of running serviced accommodation just with that bad sour taste, isn't it? So if we can really start helping people remove that, it's going to be absolutely revolutionary. So I really, really appreciate you you sharing that with me. So yeah, so guys, if they want to find you, presumably, do they just go to hellohosty.com? Is there anywhere else that they can find you?
I'd suggest going to hellohosty.com, and we have a free trial. Try it out for free, see how it fits.
Oh, amazing. Well, look, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your time coming here. I've been really excited. When I met you, I was just like, oh my gosh, you're doing incredible things. I've got to get you on. I've got to find out some more. So this has been absolutely wonderful. So thanks again. And yeah, this is my last what's it called, live this year, guys. So happy end of 2024 going into, and prepare for a fantastic 2025. I can't wait. I'm really excited for what 2025 will bring. So again, thank you so much, Clive, for spending a bit of time sharing your incredible system and how you get AI to support it. Take care.
Thank you very much. Cheers.